Coronavirus is impacting the film industry.
Big time.
As the outbreak of COVID-19, aka the coronavirus, continues to spread across the globe, virtually every person and business is feeling the impact, including movies.
Obviously, there are more important things to worry about than just movies, but we're IGN and we love film, and it's our job to cover what's happening and keep you informed about how this pandemic will impact not only your favorite movie franchises, but the people who work in the film industry and the business of movie making as a whole.
The most immediate impact has been the delay of some upcoming major releases. No Time to Die and Peter Rabbit 2: The Runaway have been moved to later in the year, while F9 has been delayed almost a full year and won't come out until April 2nd, 2021. A Quiet Place Part 2 has been delayed indefinitely with no new planned release date.
And that's just the movies themselves. Big events where upcoming movies were going to be showcased are being affected too.
South by Southwest has been canceled, CinemaCon has been canceled, WonderCon has been delayed until further notice.
In fact, so many things are being canceled or delayed minute by minute that all these things on the screen have also been impacted between the time we shot this video and posted it online.
So, the obvious question becomes, what can we expect to happen for the rest of the big movies of 2020?
Well, IGN spoke with an executive at a major studio who wishes to remain anonymous to get an idea of the kind of conversations they're having about how to respond to the coronavirus.
First and foremost, studios are taking all necessary steps to protect the well-being of their employees, which means securing film sets and exercising the option to have employees work from home. That does present a new set of challenges for the studios, though. If the pandemic escalates, how do you make new movies when you can't protect the health of the crew on set?
How do you market a film where your personnel can't easily share sensitive information because they're working remotely?
And how do you get publicity for your film when premieres and film festivals are no longer an option? Without proper marketing, a film can suffer at the box office. So these are the problems studios are trying to solve right now.
It's worth considering what other films may get delayed. The studio exec says it all depends on where the movies are expected to make their money. For Bond and Peter Rabbit, they were delayed because they're films that perform well in international markets. With all theaters closed in China and Italy, not to mention numerous other countries where large public gatherings and enclosed spaces are being discouraged, there would be no one to see those movies. So the cost of a delay now is worth it when it means making more money at a later date.
The studio executive said, quote, "Every movie for the most part needs a big global box office, but there's a difference between a movie like Bond, which has such deep roots in other countries. And going global on the same day makes a big difference. There are a lot of movies that aren't put out internationally on the same day anyway, so I think that's the difference. There are films that need to have a global groundswell and the ones that don't, and a lot of films can live in that second category."
The executive says the studios are focused on ensuring their movies still turn a profit, but at the same time, they're paying attention to public health advisements and will of course do what's necessary if the outbreak worsens.
They explained that if the government decides going to the movies becomes a public health risk, then all of the studios would get together along with their theater partners and the Motion Picture Association to decide how to move forward with closures and delays and such. They'll make those decisions as an industry. They said, quote, "If we start to see more movies move because we don't think people should be going to or don't want to go to movie theaters, that's a bigger industry thing. That's not going to be a studio decision. The Motion Picture Association decides what is the right thing to do. It would not surprise me at all if all of these conversations are happening with the MPAA so that no one studio has to take the brunt, because this is an industry problem."
Until that happens, we can expect studios to continue releasing their movies, which is why the likes of Black Widow and Wonder Woman 1984 haven't budged from their release dates. Although, if the outbreak worsens, then that could change at a moment's notice.
If movie theaters do close down, it's not unreasonable to ask if these studios might pivot from a theatrical release to a streaming service. After all, Disney launched Disney Plus last year, Warner Brothers has HBO Max coming in May, and there are many more on top of that. If people are going to be staying home anyway, then why not capitalize on literally having a captive audience?
Well, the studio exec said that dropping a big theatrical release on a streaming service just isn't practical, so don't expect that to happen. They explained that putting a movie on a streaming service doesn't generate much revenue because people already have a subscription. And simply adding a big movie to a streaming service is unlikely to generate enough subscriptions to warrant such a move.
Studios would rather hold a movie for months, a year or more, so they can eventually get that big box office money, and F9 delaying 11 months is proof of that.
However, there is one exception. If a studio has an upcoming streaming service they're about to debut, then that changes things. They could debut a theatrical release on the service at launch in an effort to drive more subscriptions.
But still, that's an extreme measure for studios to take, and we're not at that point yet. So don't expect Wonder Woman 1984 to debut on HBO Max or anything.
So the situation right now is very much wait and see. Things could get better or worse, so to wrap up, we'll leave you with the words of Exhibitor Relations Senior Box Office Analyst Jeff Bach, who says, "I think all films will begin to be impacted, especially if the outbreak starts to detour audiences closer to home. Everything is up in the air right now, and depending how long this lasts, don't be surprised if the entire theatrical industry is put on pause, like it was in China and Italy. This is a situation that is fluid, so expect the unexpected."
And now seems like a great opportunity to let you know that we'll be working from home. So the next time you tune into IGN Now, it's going to look a little different.
So be sure to follow and subscribe to IGN wherever you like to watch, and we'll get through this together.